Welcome to the show of Women's Strength Society. Today we are going to talk about what makes a training program good.
Or bad.
Or bad. Or bad. Like, what makes a training program good? What is even a training program and what's the goal of the training program? I guess a lot of people know it or think they know it because it's like, hey, I'm getting my training program so that I can get results.
I think they know it intuitively, but it's always good. Like, I always like to put a frame or define stuff that we are speaking about so that we are on the same page and everything is on board. So for me, a training plan is a tool, and it's mainly a communication tool between the coach and the athlete, or coach and the coachee. And it's also a tool to document the progress, because like the main point of training is to have some progress, and to do that, I think it's a very good thing, very good practice to document your training, so that you can see what you've done in the past, and that you can know better what to do in the next training phases. And I know that you don't really know your numbers, and this is something
not like you.
Yeah,
not like you.
And this is something that I think it comes from my time as a swimmer, and I knew like all the personal best of the different members of the swimming club I was in, and they were kind of freaking out because like, how do you know that?
See, that's something like
I still remember some of this time. So I can tell you when I was 16, I swam a 200-meter backstroke in 2 minutes 20 seconds and 61 cents.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would never ever remember that.
So, and I think most people
won't. And that's okay.
Remember that kind of stuff.
That's why you have your training plan and you can write everything down.
Yeah, that's absolutely okay. So write it down, and a training plan is a very good tool to track your progress. Yeah. So that's kind of kind of the frame of what it is. Yeah,
and it's a communication tool, right, with your coach actually,
Yeah, it is, because I mean, the body doesn't know, what a squat is. It doesn't know how much weight you have on the bar. It doesn't know, what a leg curl is or a glute drive. It just knows tension and movement and like energy, how much energy you need for that kind of stuff. And the goal is to, when you work with a coach or when you have a training plan, then the goal is to know what to do so that you have a specific adaptation to what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a very clear structure.
Yeah.
So putting your training in a very clear structure.
Yeah. I see it a bit like,
recipe.
Recipe is a good one as well. It's a very good one.
No, yeah, I mean, you can also freestyle. It's, for example, all these sports like football and basketball and stuff like that. It's not like super structured, like things are happening and sometimes you are running more or less or whatever. What? It's structured?
It's a very chaotic environment, but the player learns a lot of
definitely
training,
like how you should run and tactics,
what kind of
and
positions
stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
But you cannot predict what will happen in a game.
No.
Exactly.
No.
And we're writing a training program for the gym, like strength training program. It's very put in a box.
It's put in a box, but it's also, and I was thinking about, like, it's a bit like music notes, like a partition, and I'm not sure it's the right word in English, but it's like the composer who's communicating with the music player, with the orchestra, so that they can actually play the music and make it become real. So the idea is you have a training plan because you want to grow your glutes and have a different shape in your body or whatever, and then the training plan is the tool that is going to help between the coach and the coachee, just to communicate, to know what's going to be needed to make those changes happen. So that's basically it. And then the goal yeah, the goal of the training plan is to help you have those changes, and we want to have that progress because this is what's going to be needed to transform your body. If you keep doing everything the same all the time, then your body is not changing. It's like walking is not changing your body because you already can walk.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
But I think that's something people like know. It's like progressive overload, and you need progressive overload to change your body and to have some specific adaptations in your body.
Absolutely.
Now is the question, like, how can you measure?
Yeah, what makes a good training plan and what's not so good?
How can you measure your progress pretty like easily?
So
because back some years back, I also thought that I was doing progressive overload.
Yeah, and you also had like training plans. Like
absolutely. So if I would listen to this episode today, until now, I would think like, I've done the work. I have a training program that's telling me like what I have to do. Yeah, it's kind of
it helps
specific to my body goals.
Yeah,
and it tells me what to do. And
but does it help you like document the process, and can you measure the progress with it?
Yeah, back then, I thought, yes, because I was writing down what I was doing, and I had the subjective feeling that I'm progressing.
Okay, cool. So this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah, because I think a lot of women are out there like listening now and thinking like, tell me something new. This is what I'm doing. Yeah.
So in your training plan, you want to have like a few key variable of training, and you want it to be easy to see that you are progressing.
Yeah, kind of standardized as much as possible.
Yeah, as much as possible. You want to standardize it so that you can really see black on white, like from the one phase to the next and over a long period of time, what has happened and have you really made progress. And like those variables that are very important are actually the key component of our strength and shape formula. And it's going to be the execution, for which you need like the exercise selection. You also want to work on the tempo. So obviously you want to understand and know like what you need to do during a movement. So this is why we also have like videos built in the training plan that we provide for our coachee, for our athletes. So that's the first part, is the execution. Then the second part is the intensity, and the third part is the volume. And the volume is going to change only when the first two are like very much on point. And
because yesterday I had a quick story. Yesterday I had a feedback to a client. I was writing training feedbacks, and the client was writing on her like leg press exercise. She was writing like 2 sets were feeling like a bit
too little work. And I was like, first, you haven't nailed the tempo, because the tempo was a pretty slow tempo, like slow eccentric tempo. And she was like going too fast. And second, the intensity was not right, because like the last reps were still moving pretty fast. So she wasn't training close to failure. The goal was like 1 to 2 reps in reserve, something like that. So these 2 things were missing. It was missing like nailing the execution as written with the tempo, and then the intensity. And I was like, hey, I will not increase your sets until you haven't like nailed these 2. So these 2 sets were like more of warm-up sets. The weight was like too light for you. So now we need to nail the tempo, nail the intensity, like finding the right weight, and then we can bring up the volume. Yeah, absolutely. Because otherwise you might end up just doing a whole lot of not too much, of not enough.
Not enough.
Yeah. So you can really easily train and do a lot of stuff but it's not at the intensity that is going to drive change in your body. And then it's still tiring, it's still difficult, you're still sweating, you still might feel a burning feeling in your body, in your muscles, but it's not going to drive a change. And this is something that you are going to see on paper when your training program is well written, is because 6 months down the line, you are going to see like, hey, I'm still using the same weight, I'm still doing the same number of sets, I'm still doing the same number of reps for the same exercise. And I might not be able to have a different tempo or to have more control over the different phases of the movement. Mm-hmm. So this is one way to progress as well, is just to make sure that with the same weight you can lower the weight slower, or you can make a pause at the bottom position most of the time, or in the most difficult position. And if you can do that with the same weight for the same amount of reps, then you know, okay, you've made some kind of progress.
Yeah, and that was missing in my training programs back then. So I had the subjective feeling of I'm progressing, because somehow, I don't know, I was switching a lot of exercises. I switched a lot of like variations from training program to the next one. But then also the tempo was different, and the rep ranges, like all the variables of a training program were switching. So I always started a bit too light in my training program. And then after 4 weeks, which is quite a very short period of time, especially if the first week is not already like on point with the intensity, because I started too light, then I always like ended up in week 4 not really exhausting my training program. Yeah. And then again on the next training program, I kind of used the exact same weights. It felt like this. Tell
us how your training program is right now, because it's different.
It's totally different. So I've done a mini cut, and now we are kind of in a building phase. Mm-hmm. But the training program is like, the exercise selection is the same for, let me think, 11 weeks. Mm-hmm. No, it's 7 weeks. Mm-hmm. And I will have it another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So in total, I will have 9 weeks of the same, like exact same training program. The only thing we did now
So about this, then it makes it now very easy for you to improve the technique of the movement.
Yeah.
And it makes it also very easy to see if you've been able to put more weight or to add some reps to it.
Yeah, it's very easy.
Yeah.
Because it's the exact same exercise with the exact same tempo.
Yeah. And it's the next point. Then the next point would be the intensity in your program. How is it planned?
So in the mini cut, we stayed pretty low with the intensity. It's going from 2 to 1 reps in reserve. Mm-hmm.
So you are increasing the reps in reserve from week to week, but you have the same reps in reserve.
Decreasing the reps in reserve.
Increasing the intensity and decreasing the reps in reserve.
Yeah.
And everything is in a ballpark of 3 to 0 reps in reserve.
2 to 1.
2 to 1.
Yep.
Okay. Are you
it's
going
like
to failure?
2, 2, 1, 1. No,
okay.
I will not hit failure.
Yeah. Okay.
No, that's not the goal right now.
Okay. Cool. So you make sure that you are.
I'm very close to failure on every exercise.
And you can see this
in every set.
You can see this because you film yourself.
Yeah.
And you also know this because you are increasing the weight.
I'm increasing the weight.
Yeah. And
every week.
Even if it's a slight increase, then you know that the intensity is going up, because the relative intensity, like a few weeks back, you had maybe two reps in reserve, which you could see because the movement was getting slower and you are very close to failing the movement. And it was maybe 20 kilo, and now you are doing the same. It's the same relative intensity, but you are using 24 kilo for it. Yeah, I have your pendulum squat in mind.
Yeah.
So I think it's almost the right weight.
Yeah.
And what's happening, so it makes it very easy to track
it.
The intensity.
Yeah, there is no calculating from trying to recalculate the weight in hey, this was my weight for a very slow eccentric tempo. What does that mean for a faster tempo? So having the same variables in my training for my intensity and the exercise selection and execution, which is for me the tempo and how I'm controlling the movement, stayed the same.
Yeah.
And the only thing that now increased in this building phase was the volume from week to week on the exercises I want to grow.
And you were also saying at the beginning, hey, 2 sets is it's not much.
It was okay. It was not much, no. But I knew that once I hit this week, it will definitely get tougher. Yeah. And next week I have 6 sets on the exercise.
Because right now you want to see how much volume you can tolerate and how much volume you can tolerate, but
with high intensity.
With high intensity. And again, if there's no change never in the amount of sets that you are doing, maybe it's on purpose because it's a phase where you're still learning how to hit intensity for each body part consistently over a long period of time, which is going to bring results. And then at some point when you've done that really successfully, then you are going to need to have a bit more volume in order to be able to progress even further.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because there are a few women where I've seen that really that whole process of development, and they are performing super well in their training, and it's also super easy for me to track that progress because I can see from week to week, hey, it was 1 rep more, it was a bit more weight that was moved, and then I can say, hey, for next week you are going to move. The target is not to move more weight, but it's to add some reps to that movement. Here we want to increase the weight. And sometimes, there was one client, she's in a building phase and she's making very good progress at the moment. Next time you're going to do more reps and more weights and more sets because she's really making huge progress.
Yeah.
And this is because the training plan is written in such a way that it makes it easier for us and for her also to track that kind of stuff, to see those different variables.
And we definitely started to write the training programs differently than a year back. And this is also in our memberships, it has also its place. We are definitely doing a different type of programming than we see out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not 4-week training program, with one training method, and then another 4-week training program with another method, and then again another 4-week program with another method. And we did that in the past, but we have seen that there's a better way to make it easier for you to track your progress.
Yeah.
And to stick to the exercises that you like and where you feel safe performing them. And and
this is what is going to be needed to really see that you're going to make progress over a long period of time, which is needed in order to grow muscles. If there are some different exercises each week coming in,
then you are unsure if you are really building muscle.
You don't know.
I can totally understand that because I had that too. I was
absolutely.
Do I really build muscles? I don't know. And now that I'm seeing the numbers going up, I'm okay, but something needs to happen there. Something is working.
And maybe this is something that is quite important just to touch on before we wrap it up, is changing those exercises. This style of programming comes a lot from powerlifting and weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting, where they want to specifically target some position and some portion of the lifts, which makes sense because it's the goal is to get stronger and it's super technical. But for hypertrophy purposes and building your body, then what you want is to exhaust, to really bring your muscle, specifically the muscle, close to or to failure. And it's less about the technicality of the movement or just getting strong in the sense of making your nervous system better at certain movement. And if your training program is changing each month and you have like different exercises, what happens is you could get stronger at these exercises just because they are new, and your nervous system
like my calves.
Like your calves.
I'm like now training calves.
Yeah.
2 times a week, and I'm getting super strong. It's like putting 30 kilo on my calf raises.
Because you've never trained them before.
Never, ever.
Yeah.
Never.
And this is going to happen like with every exercise that is very new to you. So when you're doing a squat, like for instance, you do a back squat and then you do a front squat, then you are going to be able to make a lot of progress in your front squat, and you will have the feeling that you are making a lot of progress. The problem is you don't make a lot of progress because you've built a lot of muscle in your quads, but because your body learns to make the connection between like your nerves, your nervous system, your brains, and the muscle fiber for that specific movement. And
that's what I mean with like fake progress.
Yeah.
It's like not the...
It's a lot of fake progress.
Like progress of growing muscles.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a different kind of progress.
Absolutely. And this is why we've started in the last, I don't know, maybe
half year,
maybe a bit more even, to
implement,
just change the way we write the programs. And it's been super helpful for us to be able to coach it better, but also for our clients to understand just like better, hey, am I making progress or not really? Yeah. And like you said, it's a big part of our new membership, because the training program are even going to get better, the way they are written and sequenced, and the different phases are going to be super clear of what is going to be needed and what you want to do. So we are very excited about it.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything to add?
No, please subscribe, leave a review if you like the show, if you want to support us, and spread the word. And
and make sure to double check your training plan.
Yeah.
If it's actually giving you like the information you need and helping you track your progress and document the whole process. If it's not, then consider working with us.